It's about time I share the games that I plan to play for the rest of the year. So, when I'm thinking about games I like to play whatever I know, which is probably why I sample a lot of games, or I'll just stick with what I know, things that I've played over the years or things that are similar to those types of games. So I do have 4 types of categories of the types of games I play. So there's the typical playlist. This is a list, it's fairly long actually, but I have decided to focus on only 3 or 4 of those playlist games. There is also a revisit list, and the revisit list is basically a game that I either played previously or a game that I would like to take a little bit more time to revisit. Because maybe I didn't have the right mindset when I tried to play the game, and so I feel like it needs another chance. There's also another list that's just called a samplers list. Whether it's a free game or a game that somebody recommended, I've got a list for that. And granted, these lists are fairly long, but I'm going to share the ones that I know that I'm going to give a chance. Then I've got my anticipated list, which we all have, right? There's always that chance that there is going to be an awesome game that is released, and so I've got my anticipated list. So let's go ahead and start with the playlist. The playlist. Far Cry 5 is a shooter-adventure game located in a fictional region of Montana. As the player, you take on the role of a leader of a resistance that goes up against the project at Eden's Gate. I originally borrowed the game when it was released, and I've been wanting to jump back into it since then. Now I really have no reason, as I received the game as a gift last Christmas. Red Dead Redemption Online Showdown modes. I've been saving my experiences in the online game modes until I'm a better shot in the game. Coming from a shooter games background, I like to have precision with my shots. Lastly, these games are nearly finished. I just have to spend a weekend to move them to my completed games list. Life is Strange Before the Storm, a graphic adventure game set in Oregon in 2010. A Plague's Tale: Innocence, an action-adventure game set in 14th century France. The player takes on the role of a young girl and her brother as they flee from the French Inquisition and the Black Plague. The Revisits. Cyberpunk 2077 is an action role-playing dystopian futuristic game. Some people would say it's a combination of The Matrix, Mad Max, and the Blade Runner, all in one game. I tried the game when it was released, but since it had some technical issues, I set it aside until some of the issues were resolved. I plan to revisit the game again this summer. Primal is an action-adventure game set in multiple realms. I recently discovered there's a PlayStation 4 version of the game, so I'll have to play through it again this year. The Samplers. Now, I often sample all types of games every year to see if they'll stick. The games I want to sample this year include Elden Ring. Since I'll have more free time from work in autumn, I plan to play it around this time. This will give me enough patience to handle the humiliation the game will offer me. VR games. I'm currently looking for a solid real-time strategy game and an adventure shooter where I can explore but occasionally get in some action. Unreleased samplers. These are games that I'm interested in trying once they are released to see if they are a good fit for me. Forever Skies is a first-person survival shooter. Stalker 2, first-person survival shooter set in a dystopian world. As for anticipated games, there's more than I expected this year. Arc Raiders is a third-person action shooter set in a sci-fi universe. Nightingale is a survival building game set in a Victorian fantasy universe. Kind of getting that Wizard of the Oz vibe to it, so I'm interested in this game that is expected to have early access sometime this year. Avatar: Frontier of Pandora. Naturally, I have to explore this world. Starfield is an action role-playing game that takes place across multiple planets. A Plague's Tale: Requiem. The story continues with the young girl and her brother during the 14th century in France. The game is expected to release winter 2022 at the time of the video recording. Well, that's the list I currently plan to play. If you have any suggestions of games that you think I'd like to play, let me know. And feel free to tell me if you are playing a certain game right now. Which, don't tell me you're playing Elden Rings, please. Because I know you are. You're going to tell me that, aren't you?